Mic check. All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome on this lovely afternoon to the New Orleans Jazz Museum. I am Ranger Hunter Miles Davis here with the New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park. And the mission of our park is to instill a public appreciation for the history, origins, and development of jazz in the best city to do so, New Orleans, Louisiana. And today we have our program featuring great musicians. But before we get to the musicians, we have Mr. Fred Kasten, and we'll be talking a little bit about some jazz today. So again, going back to our mission, giving you guys some education and some purpose behind this wonderful genre we like to call our own here in New Orleans. So without further ado, Mr. Fred Kasten.
Thank you, Hunter. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here this afternoon at the New Orleans Jazz Museum for this program of the New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park. Talkin Jazz with Fred Kasten in concert. And that in concert portion means we'll alternate today between music and discussion with our leader, wonderful pianist, vocalist, and songwriter, Jenna McSwain. So we're going to have a chance for you to find out more about Jenna. She's got a great set of colleagues to work with today, and you'll get to hear some very fresh music from the pen of Miss Jenna McSwain. So let's meet the band and get the music rolling, beginning with our man on drums today. Please welcome Mr. John Arsenault. And on the bass guitar this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Jamila Dunham. Featured on keyboards and on vocals, please welcome Laura Fisher. And ladies and gentlemen, our leader, wonderful pianist, vocalist, songwriter, please welcome Jenna McSwain. Ladies and gentlemen, take it away.
Hello, everyone.
Tick of a clock, stroke of a pen, then
contagions. Your skeleton is waiting, it's under your skin. Discard your layers. Clear out the pages and sharpen your tools. Spinning's contagions. But fools, your skeleton is waiting, it's under your skin. Discard your layers. This is one that you can sing with if you like. Some oohs and ahs. I know, we're just getting to know each other, so we'll see how you feel. But it goes like this. Ooh, oh, ah, ooh, oh, ah, sing it if you wanna. Ooh, oh, ah, ooh. Let's do it one more time. Here we go. Yes. Ooh, oh, ah, ooh, oh, ah.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Arsenault at the drum. Jamila Dunham at the bass guitar. Beautiful solo. Over here on the keyboards and vocals, that's Laura Fisher, ladies and gentlemen. And leading this fine ensemble this afternoon, our special guest, pianist, vocalist, and songwriter, Jenna McSwain. Jenna, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah,
There's a vote for Charleston right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that was my little one.
They know where their bread is buttered.
Guess so, yeah.
Well, in Charleston, were you drawn to music as a small child?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my outlet as a child was church. You know, we went to the United Methodist Church, and my mom always tells a story that when I was 4, it was time. When I was sitting in the pew with her one day, I said, "I'm going up. I'm going to sing." Just totally, unprecedented. Like, I'm going to go sing. I have to do it. She said, "Okay, do you want me to go with you?" I said, "Nope." And I ran up and I sang "Jesus Loves Me" for the church, and there it all began.
And so it begins, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen. So from that point, was there an instrument soon involved, or was it singing for a while?
Yeah, I mean, I think, children, like, the most instinctual instruments feel like voice and drums, like the body is playing those instruments so much. But we always had pianos around, always. And I always was drawn to it. When I was about 8, my father is a drummer, so there were drums around too. And he worked backline supplying instruments for the Spoleto USA Music Festival in Charleston, a big, beautiful music festival. And Ahmad Jamal came through, and I heard him play piano, and I didn't understand jazz. I was around it,
Right.
but I just knew, like, that's something I wanted to touch.
Well,
when I
with
heard Ahmad Jamal.
Spoleto, Charleston has always punched above its weight in terms of world-class musicians coming to town,
Yes.
thanks to the festival. And maybe you didn't realize it at the time, but that was the beginning of a New Orleans connection, because Ahmad, the quintessential Poinciana, features Vernel Fournier from New Orleans, and then later Idris Muhammad, and then more recently even Herlin Riley in the drum chair.
Quite a New Orleans drum lineage, yes,
Yeah.
represented in Ahmad Jamal.
So that was a good beginning for you
Yeah.
into jazz. Did you ask for some Ahmad Jamal records at that point, or?
I think my dad probably had some. I was really drawn to vocalists, a jazz vocalist, and all vocalists. I mean, let's be honest, my first concert was Winona Judd, you know, like South Carolina girl, country music was all around, but I was always drawn to Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald and Roberta Flack, you know, R&B vocalist as well. Yeah. Whatever I could find, you know, it was cassettes and CDs and whatever I could find in my dad and mom's collection.
Did you begin some formal piano lessons? Or?
Yeah, I did take piano lessons. I probably started at 6 years old, taking piano lessons.
Uh-huh. And what about in school? Was there any music and choirs or anything?
Yeah, so once I was in 5th grade, I got to go to an arts magnet school, and that was, so my parents were divorced. I went in the district, I lived with my mom, and went there to where she lived. By the time I went to high school, there was no art school, and it was like, what are my options? So I used my dad's address and stayed over there and went to an art school in another district. So I really got to go as like middle school, late elementary, middle school. It was cello. I studied cello, and then it was piano for high school.
Yeah, you know, Ellis Marcellus learned cello for a while.
I didn't know that.
His first instrument was actually clarinet, even before piano.
Wow.
So you're in good company.
Yes,
with the cello. Do you still have a cello?
I don't. Yeah, I haven't played it in a very long time. I would love to get one. If anybody's got one they want to give me, you know, come on. Yeah. No. I'll take it.
Ron Carter told me he still plays cello, he said, to amaze himself and scare his friends. I don't know quite what that meant, but I laughed too. So you're getting quite a indoctrination into music. I mean, you're surrounded by it with a lot of different things coming your way. Were you also listening to a lot of different things besides what you might have been studying in your piano lessons?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, as a pianist in high school, I was definitely drawn to Billy Joel and Elton John and Stevie Wonder, of course. Right. And you know, that was the era of the radio, which of course it isn't really any longer. So whatever was on the radio in the 90s, you know, I was jamming along to it for sure.
Did you have some people did you have a garage band ever, or some youngsters
man.
your age you played with?
Yeah, I mean, in high school I was just surrounded by, you know, all kind of artists going to this arts magnet school in Charleston. Charleston County School of the Arts is the name of it. And yeah, I mean, I did jazz band at school and met a lot of other students. I was in everything from my own songwriter group to, like, there was a metal band I played in called Tanix. Shout out Tanix. I wonder what those guys are doing now. I play bass in that band, actually. I don't still play bass, but one day I'm going to bring it back.
Watch out, Jamila.
No, you do not have anything to worry about, Jamila.
So you're getting a pretty wide experience. It sounds like it was never even a question that you might pursue music. You just did.
It was it, you know. And there was definitely, my parents were always supportive, but my mom was like, but you're so good at physics. You're good at math, you know. And I'm like, well, if I didn't major in music, I'd probably major in English and like write stories. So, you know, it was just like, sorry, Mom. But not sorry. She's always been very supportive still.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the concern is always there that you just can't find your way as an artist.
Right.
And parents, you know.
Right.
But you did keep developing as what about writing? I want to ask you a little bit about that, even more generic or broad-based than that. Were you an avid reader as a youngster?
Oh, as a child, very much so. Very much. I mean, I think I have this one memory of my aunt sending me a box of books. I think I was probably 9, and you know they were. I don't know. They were older than I was. You know, the books were for probably middle schoolers, and I loved reading. Yeah, I always loved reading.
Well, did you try your hand at short stories, poems?
No, I never really did. No.
What about writing songs? When did that start for you?
Oh man, I mean, they were in high school. They poured out of me. You know, it was interesting. When I went to college to study jazz, I stopped writing so much. There was just such a body of work to study.
To work on.
So much, yeah. So it really took me till you know, I had my master's degree, and I thought I want to write some original songs, original compositions for that. So a song that you mentioned, that Okra Strut song, was something I wrote during my master's degree. And then once I was finished with my 6 years of studying jazz in school, I got back to songwriting in like a less of a genre specific, you know, area.
How does a song come to you? Do you keep a notebook of ideas, record everything you can as quickly as you can if you get an idea? Talk about that, how that works.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the voice memos on the phone is really handy now. I definitely have so many voice memos that I love those moments when I actually have the time to go back and listen and hear all the pieces. But you know, I have 2 little ones, so it's like if I have an idea, I better write it down because I'm gonna get distracted within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it takes a while for a song to kind of come forth, usually. One of the songs I have on our list to play today all came to me at once, but it was a morning where my kids were not with me. I was in Lafayette playing a show that evening, and I was there that morning, so you know.
I think that's a rarity, though, for one as a piece of whole cloth to arrive.
Yeah.
Hoagie Carmichael claimed that Stardust came to him like that, but
Wow, and that's such a complex song.
yeah,
Wow.
he said it just came to him in a dream, and he went downstairs. He was living upstairs of a piano store, and he went downstairs into the store and just sat down and played what he had just dreamed.
Amazing.
So these things do happen.
Yeah, and I definitely can relate to the process feeling kind of divine at first, and then you sort of use your intellectual, mental processes to piece together what you feel like you've kind of been handed in a way.
Right.
Yeah,
Take that gift and sharpen it up a little bit.
exactly.
Well, you mentioned studying in college. You went to University of South Carolina. You grew up in Charleston, and that's in Columbia, right?
That's right.
Is that the upcountry versus the low country? Or,
The
upstate?
Midlands, they call it.
Midlands.
The Midlands.
Columbia's in the Midlands.
Yes, they have a different accent there from Charleston and everything, you know. It's lots of different accents in South
And
Carolina.
you studied piano performance, or what did you? What?
Yeah, jazz studies, piano. Yeah, and they always encouraged me to sing, but singing wasn't my main instrument. Even through my master's degree, it was jazz piano, and they actually put me in front of, they had me leading a vocal jazz group as well in my master's degree, so it was like, I felt very untrained as a vocalist at the time, and I was in charge of all these young, 18-year-old singers. That was interesting,
Mm-hmm.
the learning curve.
Were you getting a chance to play in Columbia?
Oh yes, very, very much so. The community there is really inclusive and great at letting young players come up. Like it's a nice size community. It's the state capital. It's not a big city in any sense, but the community was very tight knit. There were definitely a few opportunities a week. Every Thursday we would go out to this spot. Every Saturday was this spot, and yeah, we met and we encouraged each other.
In fact, just punch ahead a little bit here. You've got in just a couple of weeks, you'll be back in Columbia and Charleston,
That's right.
touring with some of this recent music you've composed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm meeting up with some folks I haven't played with in a very long time to bring the new music.
Well, speaking of music, I want to get some going here again.
Yeah.
We'll talk after this next musical segment. I want to talk about your experience out in Colorado
Oh yeah.
in graduate school and how you wound up here in New Orleans shortly after you completed, well, within a year after or so after you completed that work. But let's hear more music.
Sounds great. Y'all feeling good out there? All right, we relax, feeling good? All right. All right, I'm gonna play a song called Climates Like These. You might think this is about the pandemic, but I wrote it right before the pandemic. It's kind of interesting how that works sometimes. I guess it comes to you, right? Like we were talking about. Climates Like These. Y'all ready? 1, 2. I was watching you groove in the corner with a sly little smile. I couldn't hear what the weatherman was saying, but his eyes looked kind of wild. I hear the crops stop growing and the wind's been blowing, and they're swirling really howling and the signal's all down. Why should we care? Maybe we deserve this little moment that we found. I see the gleam in your eye, reflects the light in mine. And if what they say is true, I got ideas, thinking that you got some too. Overhead, coming close to me, watch the buildings drop to the sea. You and me, two healthy bodies, and eternity in the sky. It's on fire, just you and I, watch it go up and lose me too. Yeah, climates like these, what have we got to? Let the storm destroy the world outside. I feel safe and warm right here. Skin's a life raft, a compass is your eyes. I'm about to hold on to their change the pace. I heard all the things you said to me. Your words, riot act was read to me. But you know I'll never work like that. No, I won't. Sat through the fire and the brimstone lines. Made do. Found a place inside my mind where I could go to be alone in a room full of you. Oh, to be alone with my dreams, making do. But your fire burned a hole in my head the size of Mexico. Didn't know my head was so big till you showed me so. I started shrinking into the soil of my own wonderland. You refused to hold my hand. Good night. Tie my shoes without your eyes. Gazing the size of Mexico. Didn't know I was so alone till you showed me so. I started shrinking into the soil of my home. Thought that you could be my Thank you so much. Should we do one more? Yeah. This is the one that came all to me in one sitting. It's called Seedling. We enjoyed our space earlier, but now we get real earthy. No more outer space for a minute. There is a seed planted in that deep space, sprouted so new, reaching for the sun, born of the past, clinging tight to its place, so it can reach toward what comes. It is exposed, tender in the brightness, carrying weight of many lifetimes past. Heavy it feels, all can see his lightness, committed to its sacred task, committed to its sacred task.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Mr. John Arsenault at the drums and cymbals, Jamila Dunham at the bass guitar, doing the beautiful vocal work and keyboard as well. That is Laura Fisher, ladies and gentlemen, and also wonderful vocals and piano and writing this wonderful music, Jenna McSwain. So from the Midlands of South Carolina to Greeley, Colorado,
Really? Yes.
and the University of Northern Colorado. Was that directly after undergrad school?
It
or
was right after Yale.
Yeah. What connected you with UNC?
University of Northern Colorado. You know, I applied to several different places throughout the country. I really just had a great experience there auditioning. You know, when I was doing the research, it kind of came up as like a school that has a lot of opportunities for grad students while you're there to learn, and a really like well-versed program. And they really did. You know, it was a great community now that I've gained. They have a big festival there, the Northern Colorado Jazz Festival, and you know, they use the grad students as their labor. So,
Of course.
right. So I got a lot of great opportunities there. It's funny. I was in charge of catering and hospitality for the jazz festival. So I was like, you know, making sure Patty Austin didn't have to drink out of a styrofoam cup and stuff like that.
More than once.
Yeah, right. It was quite a job. It's kind of
Yeah.
nerve-wracking.
Well, I read where you said that in contrast with your classmates out there, you realized that you really had a Southern sound in your music
That's right.
when you arrived out there, having come up around rock and roll, country, gospel, and
Right.
rhythm and blues and soul music. You
Yeah.
really had that imbued in your
Right.
musicianship.
Right. No, I didn't really. I mean, I don't know. You just grow up around what you grow up around, and then you know, whenever you venture out, you realize kind of the things that make you you, no matter what those are. You know, and I definitely really appreciated all the gospel. I mean, South Carolina, Charleston in particular, is such a center of gospel music, and yeah, I was very grateful for that.
Well, we just barely touched on this, but you and your sisters had a gospel group.
We did, yeah. So I have 3 sisters. There were 4 of us total growing up in the house together, and one older stepsister as well. And yeah, we would go singing at different churches in the United Methodist circuit, you might say. But I would like tell everybody what note to sing. I was very bossy. I was just so bossy. But it was fun for me. Yeah.
How long did that last?
It's hard to say. I mean, it was a couple years.
Uh-huh.
It was probably kind of stressful for everyone but me. For me to be like, no, sing that note. No, this one. I hadn't honed my, people skills just
So
yet.
your band leading began early in life.
Yeah.
Well, back out to Greeley. You had mentioned, I think you started writing tunes again after graduate school. Were you working on compositions though in
When
graduate
I was
school?
there. A little bit. I actually did do one, you have your private lessons, and one semester I added a private lesson in composition and arranging with Eric Applegate, who's a great arranger and composer and bassist up there. So I did get to work with that, in addition to, having this big program with so many other students, I had opportunities to write for big bands and lots of vocal jazz. So I did lots of writing vocal parts, which I love.
Yeah, you're in listening to your recorded work, you hear a really wide range of things that you do, and one of the things is you really voice the horns very nicely, I think. And
Thank you.
When you use those and make them sound like there are more of them than there
Yeah.
really are,
The trick.
which is a real skill.
Thank you. Yeah, also Jameson Ross produced on my record. So, I wrote all the parts and would take them to Jameson, and, we would play them in the studio, and he would really bring out beautiful sounds and spirit from everybody. He was such he's just an incredible force of nature.
Great spirit as well as an
Absolutely.
incredible musician.
Absolutely, yes. It was so great to work with Jameson.
Yeah. So you went pretty much straight through grad school, right? Just 2 years out there?
I did.
Yeah. And got your master's. Was it back to Carolina then?
It was. Yeah, I went back. I started working so much right after graduate school, teaching private lessons, like 30 hours a week of like private lessons, you know, and gigging and teaching adjunct at the University of South Carolina, you know, my alma mater. So yeah, it was beautiful, and I felt very held by that community, but I also felt like this is too easy in a way, you know? It was like I wanted to be in a scene where I couldn't immediately get that much work, where I had to step my musical game up, you know? And so New Orleans is a city I was always enchanted with, for sure.
When did you first experience New Orleans?
When I was in high school, I was actually being recruited by Tulane because of whatever, I guess, test scores. And not really knowing much about Tulane, I came here, so it was 2004. So I would have been a freshman in 2005. I couldn't afford to go to Tulane, there was no way. But, you know, they gave me like a little scholarship, but I couldn't have afforded it. But yeah, I mean, being a freshman in college in 2005 in New Orleans probably would not have been, you know, my mom's favorite choice with Katrina coming that year.
That was kind of a rough September here.
Definitely.
So you escaped that fate, but you were intrigued by the city?
Oh yes, absolutely. Always, you know, like I said, like I know that I'm a Southern person. I like warmth, but the warmth found here is in the people. I mean, it's such a beautiful place, such a soulful place. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So after about a year back in Carolina, you packed your bags for New Orleans.
I did. Yep. Had like some remote Zoom calls. I guess it was Skype back then. Skype calls. You know, this was 11 years ago now. Got myself a job teaching lessons. You know, made some contacts, and yeah, started gigging right across the street. It used to be Mojitos. Y'all remember that? When it was Mojitos. That's where I ended up playing there for tips. You know, and you know all the tourists to come by, and I ended up there several days a week, just hanging out, meeting the people.
Yeah. So that began to connect you with the folks on the scene a little bit.
Yeah.
And paid your Swegman's bill. Well, Swegman's was probably out of business by then, but
Rouse's was around.
Rouse was around. Yeah. The other thing, or one of the things that you did to earn a living was and followed the lead of Deacon John and many other very talented artists. You created a wedding band.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't really create the wedding band. I actually got brought into an organization. It's the Nola Dukes organization. So there are a lot of different bands now in the city that work with this organization. But I got to lead a band, and so pre-pandemic, I put together some of my favorite musicians, and we were playing weddings, you know, every weekend for a while there. I still work with the Nola Dukes. It's just a little less frequent these days.
Fewer gigs.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of different things. How did you find the community of musicians here when you arrived? Were you well received?
Oh yeah, wonderful. I mean, wonderful. I definitely got put to the test by Delphio. One night it was one of my first nights here. I was so fresh here, and I went to hear the Uptown Jazz Orchestra at Snug Harbor. Yeah, and I sat in. He asked if I wanted to sit in. Of course, you say yes, of course. And so we're playing fast rhythm changes, right? Everybody's like cooking, right? It's really fast, and he has everyone drop out in the whole it's a big band. It's a big band. And I look over at Adonis Rose on drums, and he goes, like mouth sorry, because he was really trying to sort of test and school me. But I still came back. I mean, it wasn't great, you know, but I did go home, and I remember seeing other pianists, you know, on Frenchman Street doing the stride thing, which is very New Orleans, right. You know, where your left hand's just back and forth really fast. So I call it target practice. So I would go home and I would do my target practice, and I would just hammer it out. And he said, "You got to learn Big Chief. You got to learn Big Chief." So you better bet I went and I learned Big Chief.
Yeah, there's definitely a repertoire that you can work if you learn these 60 or 70 tunes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That will get you through most gigs. Larry Siebert told me a great thing one time. He said when he first came down here from Baton Rouge and he was playing with somebody, I think on Bourbon Street. Can't remember the name of the band. Been in the band for maybe a couple of months. And he said that one day the leader took him aside and said, Larry, you really sound great. You know, man, once you learn your first tune, you're really going to sound good. By which he meant, you've got to really learn these tunes. It's not just, you know, using your ear to fill in.
Right.
You've got to really dig in and accept that, you know, there's so much great culture here to absorb, but you've got to be willing to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you are, then the embrace is usually pretty wide and pretty warm from the community.
Yeah, and the willingness for everybody to invite you onto their bandstand.
Right.
You know, especially around this neighborhood. You know, you go to any spot on Frenchman, and it's like, hey, I play. You know, they're gonna ask you to sit in. So if you tell them you play, you better be ready. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned in another interview, I think that. You kind of felt like you maybe attained a certain status when Brad Walker asked you to play with him at Maison.
Oh yeah, I loved playing with Brad. Yeah, he's an incredible musician. Yeah.
Now, were you writing songs all the time you were here? Were you starting to get back into that again?
Yes, definitely. You know, and it morphed. I kind of, you know, coming out of that much jazz school, it very much fit in the jazz genre. I can say that. But now it's sort of, you know, amorphous and kind of, I call it folk soul. I don't know. Does that sound about right from what you guys have heard? I don't know.
Yeah,
folk soul.
You've got folk soul music magic.
Folk soul music magic. That's my little catchphrase. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think the composers I've always been drawn to, or songwriters, are ones who make use of the tools that are in their everyday lives. You know, Dvorak using folk music, Duke Ellington, you know, using things he heard in his life. And I think when you've had so much experience, such eclectic musical experience that from a small child on up, that it's only natural that a wide range of things would appeal to you.
Yeah.
And you evidenced here today that you cover a lot of different things. One of the things on the first record you put out is you do a lot of Brazilian and have a real feel for the samba and the bossa.
I love it. I love it. It's my
How
happy
did
place.
that, was that just hearing it, or was there some connection there?
There's definitely a connection because my grandfather is Portuguese. His parents came over from the Azores, these islands in the middle of the ocean, and to Rhode Island. And he, you know, grew up, they didn't speak English, his parents. They were Portuguese immigrants, and he actually lost the ability to speak his native tongue when he was in World War II. You know, and I think there was a PTSD that happened that just kind of shut off something in his brain.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was always like a fire within me to learn Portuguese. And of course, the Brazilian music, so closely connected with the jazz I was studying, and such a beautiful, I mean, I feel like I've just touched the surface of this body of music, you know, that is like Brazilian, all these Brazilian genres. But yeah, it was a great connection for me to make with music and with the language of my ancestors.
Yeah.
So I learned a little bit of Portuguese, enough to, anybody here speak Portuguese? Eu falo pouquinho, like the tiniest, like I get myself in trouble, you know.
Muito obrigado.
There you go. That's what you need. You need to be able to say thank you, and you're good to go.
So that connection led you in that direction, and you really do sing the Portuguese lyrics. I've heard you sing beautifully.
Thank you.
Did your grandfather ever get to hear you sing?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, I first started learning a couple of bossa nova songs when I was in high school. I mean, I was pronouncing them horribly wrong. Like, if I heard it now, it would be the most cringeworthy. But, yeah, he did. They were always super supportive of my music.
What about the, I've heard you with Don Vappy playing trad jazz. Now, that's another repertoire, another aspect of the repertoire here you need, in addition to, the Professor Longhair
Right.
things, and, other great piano repertoire. Was that an opportunity you had pretty early to play some trad?
I did. Yeah, it's funny. That was like one of the first gigs. I think it was one of the first days I was just hanging out with a friend, and they were actually playing at Mojitos. What's it called now? I don't know what it is now even. I don't get out much. But it's on this corner right across from us. And there was this band leader, Emily Estrella, and she was like, well, there's a piano in here. Anybody play piano? You know, it was like, is there a doctor in the house? Is there a pianist in the house? I said, yeah, heck yeah, I'll play piano. And it was a trad band, you know. She did a lot of like sort of Spanish tinge, Jelly Roll Morton, songs in Spanish, but with that very New Orleans Latin kind of flavor. So I got to learn some of that music with her.
Yeah, that's a great aspect of the music here, that Spanish tinge.
Yes.
Well, I want to talk with you in our final talk segment about some of the things you've been doing lately, but before that, let's have some more music.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Let's do something from my recent EP. This is called The Spark. Thank y'all so much. All right, that was a little dreamy. We're gonna bring us down to earth again. Thank y'all so much for like sitting here and listening to all this original music, kind of being open to hearing new things. This is a brand new song. I think the first time we performed this was at French Quarter Fest just a couple months back. So it's called Standing on the Ground. 1, 2, 3.
All the details fall just right, breathing in the clouds. I want to bring the water to your mouth, be the love that you dreamed about. Standing on the small piece of earth, somewhere to nurture all the ideas will birth. Put the nail to the hammer's head, with no mesh and net under our garden bed. So every seed that we planted, dig its roots down deep and stretch far and wide as it wants. If we get tangled in the weeds, I hope we can take a step back and get proud upon our bodies. It's what we have beneath our feet, gives us everything we need to be complete. What we've nurtured with our 4 hands can help us grow to rise above this world's demand. If we view it from up above, we see a gorgeous garden all inspired by our love.
Yeah. Standing on the Ground, ladies and gentlemen. Brand new from Jenna McSwain. Once again, John Arsenault at the drums.
Yeah.
Jamila Dunham at the bass guitar. Laura Fisher on the keyboard and the wonderful vocals. And the creator of the music, and at the piano and singing it as well, Jenna McSwain, ladies and gentlemen. Jenna, you got to town, and it wasn't too long after you hit here, you put out your first record.
That's right.
It was, is titled Wax and Wane, Songs Without Seasons.
Yep.
And had 9 tunes, quite a few of those of your own devising.
Yeah. Yeah, there are only 2 that are not originals on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that come together for you, and who was on that with you?
Yeah, some folks that I still call dear friends. Nick Solnick was on the drums on that, and Scott Myers was on guitar. He helped with some arrangements on that too. He's really versed in Brazilian music, and so some of the grooves that I knew and loved, he sort of even kicked up a notch for some of those tunes. Gary Washington was the bassist. He plays primarily cello now. And yeah, I had a great horn section. Steve Lands, Bryce Eastwood, Russell Ramirez on trombone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice record. I highly recommend it. Is that still available through your website?
Yes. Website and streaming platforms, Wax and Wane, yeah.
Yeah. And you also had, or I don't know if it was your band or you just in it, but Bionica.
Yes, yeah.
Talk about Bionica.
Bionica, man. Bionica was such a cool challenge. How do you describe Bionica? It's like keyboard. It's not math rock. It's like more pop, but it's complex. It's complex, and it has these themes of leaving Earth and sort of alienation, and it's like this beautiful project. It was started by James Westfall, he's a great vibraphonist, but also plays keyboard, and he lives in Houston now. And Rex Gregory and James were teamed up at the forefront of this project. And so after James moved, we kind of kept it alive for a while. It was Nick Solnick, Rex Gregory, Devin Kerrigan, and myself. And we had John Maestas come and play guitar sometimes, but it was such a keyboard-heavy band. There was a time when we had 3 keyboards and no guitar. As you see, I vibe with keyboards. It's
right.
It's fun.
Yeah. So that doesn't exist anymore.
Not really. I mean, we haven't created any. We have recorded a lot, so who knows? We might come out with something. Just be on the lookout. It was so fun and so challenging to sing and play that music. It really expanded what I could do all at one time, like a juggling act, sort of. Playing 2 keyboards on a stack and singing very intricate harmonies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Very, very challenging material.
Yeah.
And then another act of creation. You've had Noah and Iris.
That's right, my babies. Noah just turned 7. They probably stepped out. They gotta move around, those little ones. And Iris is 2.5. They are my greatest works of art.
Well, that's enough work for one person, or 2 people.
Yeah.
And you managed to keep your musical career going, and you even tried to be a college professor in the mix, but you have stepped aside from that now.
So I'm still teaching adjunct, but yeah, I was a full-time professor for a while. And once I had my second child, it kind of became like, okay, creativity, full-time job, double pay. I mean, people do it, but I want to sleep too, I don't want to be sick all the time. Like I decided to dial it back, yeah.
And that's, you like that?
I do. I really like doing a lot of different things, I like variety in my life.
Mm-hmm. Well, and most recently, as far as recordings go, you've done a visual album.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, so my husband is a filmmaker, an actor and a filmmaker, and we have linked up with some great friends who have access to amazing equipment. Bruno Doria of Worklight Pictures, and our very, very dear friend Patricia Moscardo, who's helped produce and have the vision for all of these music videos. Our friends at Fishpot Studios is another place here. He's actually a Professor Longhair scholar. So they're just these great folks, great friends. And yeah, we're crazy. We decided to do 5 music videos. 5 songs on the EP, 5 music videos. So y'all can go and check them out. Kids are featured in them. There's a lot of wholesome cuteness involved.
Yeah, and that's available as well on your website.
Yeah, no, I don't have them for sale. So my plan is to do a double vinyl once my next EP is out. So a lot of the material some of the material you've heard today is going to be on that. So I'll do a vinyl, but you can stream it online in all streaming platforms anywhere music is available.
Available there.
Yeah.
And you've got we mentioned a little South Carolina tour coming up, but well before that, this Saturday night you're at the Bayou Bar.
That's right. Yep, the Bayou Bar, Pontchartrain Hotel. That'll be all by myself.
That's a nice venue. It's interesting place. It's Peter Harris's.
Yeah, Peter Harris books it, and they play jazz there, several nights a week. And I don't know why, but they hire solo pianists on Saturday nights. So, I mix it up. Saturday night at a bar, it can get pretty rowdy, just being by myself. But, we have a good time.
The fun will be had by all, ladies and gentlemen. That's right down St. Charles Avenue at the Pontchartrain Hotel, the Bayou Bar. Starts at 8 o'clock on Saturday.
That's right.
Well, we've got time, I think, for maybe 2 more tunes.
Wonderful.
So lay them on us.
All right. And what shall we do? Okay, let's do the love ballad. I began writing this song as a gift to my husband on our wedding. And of course it wasn't ready by our wedding. That's not how I work. Deadlines, schmedlines. But eventually I did finish it. And this is one that we have a music video to that I'm very proud of. Never thirsted through the desert, haven't been lost in the snow, never slaved away in coal mines just to come home all alone. But I've seen the sludge in some men's eyes, and I've heard 1,000 alibis behind the same old frosty guise. As a child, I never hunger. That's when love I had my fill. Never trudged myself to school both ways uphill. But I've watched big heads with appetites disregard their love and oversights. And I don't mean to be impolite, but I know that isn't what we're made of. We did not come from a dust to love. Someday we will return, leave our bones to decay, our collections to rust. Though I've had it quite easy, I know ours is a love to believe in. This is how I want to spend my time. In your eyes I see my future, making sense of days gone by. I see joys and woes and poems and prose as we breathe and we laugh and we cry. In this world of darkness freely roams, creates a vast confusion that we're isolated all alone is the grandest of illusions. Confusion's where we'll find us, with our heads planted under the ground. Tell me, what will it take to remind us when
faith and believe that what unites us can help us be saved. Because love is what we're made of. We did not come from a dust. To love, someday we will return. Our bones to decay, our collections to rust. Though the ground may be shaken, I know this is a step well worth taking. This is how I spend my time. Right here is how I wanna live this life of mine. You right next to me, baby. You know I wanna feel your love. You know I wanna feel the way you do me when you know I'm made of. It's what we're 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 made of. Y'all wanna sing it with us? It's what we're made of. Don't be shy if you wanna sing. What we're made of. It's what we're made of. It's what we're made of. It's what we're made of. What we're made of. It's 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 what we're made of. Love. It's what we're made of. Thank you all so much. Y'all have been so lovely, so lovely. We're gonna play one more. Time for one more, and we'll bring it back to the old South Carolina church roots. A little something. Y'all can totally sing along with us too if you feel moved to do so. Oh yeah, la da 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 la 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 la. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. John Arsenault, yeah. Yeah. Sing it with us, y'all. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Oh, I'm gonna let it shine.
Letting it shine. Mighty fine, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. John Arsenault at the drums and cymbals. Jamila Dunham on the bass guitar. Laura Fisher with the beautiful vocals and keyboard work. And creating a lot of this music, ladies and gentlemen, at the piano, singing the wonderful Jenna McSwain. Jenna McSwain Band. Mighty, mighty fine. And thanks very much for joining us here this afternoon for this session of Talkin Jazz in concert. We'll be on vacation in July, but we'll be back in August. Keep an eye on the New Orleans Jazz Museum and New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park websites, Facebook pages for details about the next Talkin Jazz. Thanks for joining us today.
Mic check. All right. Thank you all again for joining us here. Again, give it up for Jenna McSwain, Fred Kasten, and such a talented group of musicians. Again, we are here at the New Orleans Jazz Museum. Thank you, New Orleans Jazz Museum. If you want to see more programs like this, please join us down the street at 916 North Peter Street. We will have more programming like this. And also, if you want to check out our schedule, you can check us out on Facebook at NOLA Jazz NHP, I'm sorry, and on Instagram at NOLA Jazz NHP. But besides that, enjoy the rest of your day and have a great one.